And we're ready to go, freshly pressed on a hump of the week Wednesday morning here on the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. 31 minutes past 7 a.m. My name is Ayokunmi. Great to have you join us this morning as we are going to be diving into the headlines in the papers. We'll take a look at the stories making the rounds. We'll get analysis, we'll get your thoughts and your perspectives, your messages. They are very much welcome. All you need to do is to stick with us, number one. Get the WhatsApp number down. That's number two. And just, let us know what you think. So the WhatsApp number is 0911 999 0981. 0911 999 0981. Just leave your messages there. Make them as concise as possible. Easy for me to read. And let's stick to the topics of conversation for today. Let's not get me all confused about what exactly are you talking about. Makes it easier for everything to flow naturally. You can also join the live stream on YouTube. You can find us at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Leave your comments there as well. And of course, I'll get to them as the show moves along. Alrighty, joining me to take a look at the stories this morning, as per the usual. And probably we might have a repeat of what happened last week, where it was a full house. Devoe, Okorie, and of course, Lakunle Yusuf are in the building. Good morning to you, Devoe. Good morning to you, Lakunle. Lakunle, you're muted in case you do not know.
Good morning, Ayokunmi, our labor man. Good morning once again. Devoe, good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, everywhere we are listening to us this morning. Very interesting things, some refreshing news, and yes, let's go and talk about Nigeria.
All righty. Good morning to you. Devoe, good morning. Can you hear us?
Yeah, morning. Yes. Morning, world. Morning, Lagos. AY, Lakunle, we say no to labor union. CY, Eku, Wednesday morning, rain.
Well, there's no rain on this side of town, unless, of course, I'm not aware of what's going on outside. But as far as I know, no rain on this part of town, Devoe. So I don't know what's going on, where exactly it is that you are. But anyways, welcome into the show. Mr. C is also in the building this morning. Going to weigh in on some of the issues we'll be talking about. Mr. C, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, Devoe. Good morning, Okorie. Good morning, Lagos.
Alrighty, Devoe, let us begin this journey this morning talking about issues that have to do with constitution amendment. Now, this is coming from the Punch. Now, a former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Chief Wale Olanipekun, SAN, has urged the National Assembly to suspend further amendments to the 1999 constitution of the country. Now, the legal luminary said the country required a new homegrown constitution that would genuinely reflect the collective will of Nigerians and their uniqueness instead of another round of patchwork reform. So he says, all these amendments, leave that. We need to start this from scratch. What do you think about that, Devoe?
Yes, one of the interesting matters that I'd like to commend the learned Silk about bringing to the table, although it had been served many times from different people, many places, that our constitution needs restructuring. As you know, most times within the past 2 decades, we've gone back and forth on, oh, we need to restructure, we need to change things. The bulk of that change lies in how we are governed, which is usually captured within your constitution. And if you're being fair and objective, you know that there are many gaps, lacunas, and loopholes in the current 1999 constitution as amended, which many largely feel was put together by the military to serve their purpose of how to share Nigeria and its resources. Okay. Now, the legal luminary was saying that instead of the current format, approved format, which is basically if you're not happy with the 99 as amended, then keep amending it till you get it to a point that the people in Nigeria are satisfied. But you see, that process has been slow. Not only has it been slow, it seems to chase areas that are not as pertinent rather than the areas that are thorny and that actually bring the real impact for change. So the legal luminary, Olani Bakun, was saying that instead of patchwork, let's work between now and 2031, which is a period of 4 plus 2 years, that's 6 years, and put together a new social order, a new constitution. And since this legislator currently is not doing what we want to a satisfactory extent, we can run a referendum. Now, let me explain a referendum. A referendum is a scenario, just like election, where everyone is allowed to vote for a certain topic, for or against.
Okay.
And most times it's used to address very, very thorny issues. For example, in the UK, they voted a referendum on joining the EU, okay? Because some of their people felt that Britain
Leaving the
was,
EU.
sorry, leaving the EU, yes, that was during the years of Brexit,
Brexit, yeah.
when they were like, we contribute the most to the EU, yet we gain the littlest, right? In this scenario here, there are many thorny issues in Nigeria that should have been given a referendum or been given proper attention, which you have seen linger. For example, state police. Despite rising insecurity, we've not seemed to be able to address that matter. Secondly, the whether we should run a presidential system or a parliamentary system. When we had checks and balances, the First Republic was a parliamentary system. You only had more or less two sides, the ruling party and the opposition. And on a daily basis, you are checked, right? Like you see it happen constantly in the UK, because currently the presidential system, as you can see, is very expensive for a poor country like Nigeria. Thirdly, issues of what do you call it? The sharing formula in terms of revenue, in terms of population. We've not even been able to take a population, because we know in the Second Republic, I think before the Second Republic, the military manipulated figures in our population, which gave rise to the revenue sharing formula, which to a large extent says that Kano State and Lagos State have the same population. If you live in Nigeria and you've been to the two places, you know Kano does not have the same population as Lagos. Now, some of these imperfections or these misfits,
Okay.
part of even what caused the secession move by Nnamdi Kanu was some of these issues, these thorny issues that we've not been able to address. So the learned Sikh was saying, can we put together a referendum and have people vote towards a new constitution across the next 6 years, so that by the time we get to what do you call it, 2031, even though there's a new election, even though there's a new election, you would have a new referendum in place as of 2031. I actually agree. I'm with him. But if you remember back in the days when we did the National Sovereign Conference, when we also did the last constitutional conference, it was this matter of they barred an issue called that there would be no discussions on balkanization. They barred the issue of anybody. Yes, they barred an issue of people saying that they would separate. Now, my point is this. If they have to bar an issue, then it's no longer fully democratic. It shows you that currently there are fault lines which need to be answered. We need to be direct about it. Because truly, if we cannot unify on a religious basis or on an ethnic basis, then at the end of the day, we should tell ourselves the truth about how we want to be governed. So this matter will be left to the public, but I'm hoping that it can gain steam so that at the end of the day, we would have a national conversation instead of just a few people suggesting to the public what needs to be done.
Right. Thank you for sharing those thoughts, Devoe. So just quickly weigh in on this one.
So very quickly, well, I partially agree with the senior advocate when he says we need a new constitution. But the even greater problem is the attitude, the mindset of and disposition of the average Nigerian. Our problem in Nigeria has never been the absence of the proper framework, rules, laws, legislation. Our problem continues to be in the execution of these laws. So even if the right constitution descends from heaven, Nigerians being Nigerians, especially the political class, will find ways to mess it up. So yes, 6 years is good enough, even though I think it's too long to draft a new constitution. But beyond that, it is the attitude and disposition of the Nigerians that will determine whether a new constitution will be a success or not. Not just providing a new constitution.
As we tend to see in Nigeria and irregular, we have all these rules and laws and so on and so forth. But when it comes to implementation, we always seem to have that problem of implementation. But I guess we should take put one foot in front of the other. And I guess two things can work at the same time, if I believe so. What do you think? Do you think that the amendment should be paused and a new constitution should be drafted from the scratch? Let us know your thoughts. Send those messages in on WhatsApp. All right, Lakunle, I am coming right to you right now. The Guardian is where we're heading to. And this says the Senate has approved life imprisonment for anyone convicted of defiling a minor. That's a dramatic escalation from the present 5-year jail term under the nation's criminal code. This was as the House of Representatives launched an investigation into the utilization of $4.6 billion in grants received from the Global Fund and the United States Agency for International Development, that's USAID, for Nigeria's fight against HIV, AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria, and polio. Our lawmakers very busy at work, Lakunle. Let's walk us through this particular story here.
Okay, good morning again, everyone. So it's so interesting, and maybe the first time I'm catching this in any newspaper in Nigeria. I may be wrong that you have plenary in both houses being reported in such an elaborate manner. So this report actually spoke to investigation on grants for HIV, AIDS, TB, malaria, polio that we've had as in the House of Representatives, the rape matter, abortion and female sexual health generally, labor laws, and so on and so forth. So we have quite a number of things there. So this is what we expect. Would also encourage our journalists, our newsmen, TV stations to report more so that we can get to know more of the activities of the goings on in the National Assembly, and they will not be able to have an excuse that we did not know when those laws were being passed and made. Having said that, quickly, the crux of the matter here is about rape. It's somehow pleasing and heartwarming to hear that we are taking cognizance of the heinous crime called rape, that most of the time that we have used the conspiracy of silence to hoodwink and to bully and to blackmail victims into keeping quiet about it. This idea that somebody rapes another person, whether minor, old, whatever, and then the family comes to the victim's house to come and beg and offer money. And in some cases, our law enforcement being the ones who promote this idea of let's settle it in a familial manner should stop. Everybody should be responsible for the things that they have knowingly entered into. For me, if you ask me, is 10 years enough? I don't think so. Is jail term the right, is heavy enough for this crime? I do not think so, right? Because for the life of me, we're on radio. If you are that pressed, there are other ways you can relieve yourself of that pressure rather than raping somebody else. You understand what I mean by that? So now they said that somebody suggested a life imprisonment, but they said, look, let's leave it at 10. Then the judges will use their discretion to say maybe it's 15 or 20 or whatever. I think that aside from that, one of the things that should do on a lighter note, such individuals, male or female, should be flogged publicly in the full glare of people.
Really?
Right? Yes. I mean, because you can never really measure how much punishment, because, okay, so if you send the person to jail, government is going to be responsible for the uniform for the person, feeding the person, right? I mean, so when you look at it from that perspective as well, but it's so pleasing to hear that at least we're now taking cognizance of this. And we should not also stop here. We should also go ahead and criminalize the idea of trying to suppress the reporting. of rape. So if a person A is raped, anybody between person A and person B that committed the rape, who is trying to say, don't go and report, don't let us take it become a legal matter. Let's also serve as a conspirator to the rape, and there's punishment for that person as well. This will discourage the idea of families getting involved. And also as a public service announcement to people, parents, individuals, if you are pressed, you know there are other means of relieving your pressure, go and explore those means. Don't rape people. Don't subject people to sexual. Don't subject yourself to sexual crimes. I'm happy it's now official, and I hope that they pass this quickly to the president to sign into law, and then we begin, even if possible, we even backdate it a little bit so that some of the current ones that we're discussing. And then we need to also be careful. Don't accuse people of rape if you are not raped, because that is also another aspect of it that we also need to look at. But because that is not the focus of this one, let's leave that one for another day.
All right. Thank you very much for those thoughts there, Lakunle. Mr. C, you wanted to add a legal side to this?
So, yes, a few things. So where the individual or the victim is below the age of 18, in law, we call it defilement. So it's just sexual intercourse with an individual under the age of 18. Now, I'm not sure the Senate considered everything, and I'm going to explain why. And in some parts of this country, we know and we are aware of marriages where one of the parties is below 18 and is tied to religion. I'm aware of it. I'm not sure they considered that. Because according to the religion, the marriage is valid. But according to law, if we follow the statutory law, one of the parties is below 18 and therefore cannot give consent. So going by the provisions of this proposed piece of legislation, will the other spouse be guilty of defilement? Question number one. Now, it's also interesting that they've expanded the definition of victim. In the laws we inherited from our colonial master, Great Britain, it was only a woman who could be the victim. But the definition has now been expanded to include men. So my advice is they should go back and dwell on it some more, especially from the House of Reps, because we've not been informed that the House of Reps has also passed this. And then try and tweak it a little. Then three, we seem to downplay the incidence of mental illnesses as they relate to the commission of crimes. We must remember not every crime is committed by a person in full control of their mental faculties. So where a person who is not in control of the mental faculties commits a crime, is the proper punishment to send the person to a correctional center or to a psychiatric hospital? Food for thought.
Sorry, let me quickly respond to that last one, Mr. C. So if that happens, then the person would first need to prove before the court of law that he's not in control of his mental capacity. It is not the that does that for him. So I want to assume then that is incidental to this law. Then last quickly, the thing that I think the law needs to do is to define who a minor is. Our
very,
law
very clearly.
Is, right? Who an adult is. So let the law also define who a minor is. Then maybe that will probably take care of your first concern.
Lakunle, the law has already defined who a minor is. So there's the Children's Act, there's the Criminal Code Act.
According to the marriage law, is a 13-year-old an adult or a minor?
The marriage law, to the best of my recollection, does not discuss the ages of parties. So you'll find that in the Criminal Code Act, the Children's Act, and then I think the Violence Against Persons Act.
A lot of food for thought on this one. But let's keep the bus moving along. Devoe, let's step into the premium times here and talk about security matters. And Bello Turji is in the news again. The terrorism kingpin. Well, he has released another set of kidnapped persons following another meeting with local authorities and some Islamic clerics in the Shinkafi local government area of Zamfara state. Now, residents said Mr. Turji released dozens of kidnapped persons, mostly residents of the Shinkafi Local Government Council following the ongoing peace initiative by the local authorities. What exactly is happening here? Is this a sustainable thing long term, Devoe? Because I mean, it sounds so very ridiculous.
Yes, just a quick reference to the last conversation. I think Charles Wright, Section 82 refers to 16 years, but it's being debated at state assembly level. Some want to push it down to 13, some want to take it up to 18, and that's why you haven't had a proper figure around the country. Now, back to the movie taking place in Nigeria called Bandits on the Loose or Terrorists on the Loose. Bello Toji, I'm ashamed discussing this topic, AY, because you see, it's like a movie in Nollywood, or maybe Bello Toji saw what was going on between Israel and Gaza and said, let him do his own. So what you have in this article is that a terrorist known by government is releasing sets of kidnapped individuals because he was negotiating with some local authorities, Islamic clerics, and the local government, who eventually thanked the federal government, the NSA, and the state governments, in their own words, for allowing for a peace initiatives. And basically, as we had heard in earlier conversations, this peace initiatives, the clerics and the community leaders said that they did not ask him, that's the terrorist, Toji, to drop his weapons. But he had said on his own part that his attacks would not end as long as Fulanis were being attacked, or as long as his own vigilante groups were attacking, vigilante groups from the state were attacking his people. Now, it's a short story, but you see, it's an aberration in history. And this is why you have many people incensed. It has rubbed people the wrong way. The legalities brought around Nnamdi Kanu in his bid for, in quotes, cessation of Biafrans. Okay. Now, not that we're saying his bid is legit. The point is, if Bello Toje, a known terrorist, can be operating, can be negotiating, can be given his own terms as to his own existence in this same country, then why are we still provocating, postulating, pontificating over Nnamdi Kanu? The point where most people have come to is, let us all be mad. Now, unfortunately, this will remain a stain on the white of the APC Bola Ahmed Tinubu Shetima government, because law must be seen to have been done across board. This is why most times even the CDS, the Chief of Defense Staff, always speaks to the fact that the enemy is within. All politics is local, all insecurity is local. And until we deal with this issue directly, why some are allowed to vandalize or break the law, and while others are being held by it, we're going to have serious levels of uprising, disaffection among the people, because this is a known terrorist. It was the same way Shakal was killed 10 times. We don't even know whether he's dead, because if he came back to life 8 times, where lies the truth that he died the 9th time? So I'm asking the federal government to come clean, the state governments to come clean regarding insecurity. We've not even been able to explain ourselves out of the Christian genocide, which many know is true, even though at the end of the day, some Muslims are being killed. Yes, we're not against that. But the point is, for a long time in this country, even way before insurgency became through, it seemed as if there was an agenda against Christian-dominated locations. One, it seemed there was an agenda against locations where natural resources, solid minerals exist, okay? To the extent that now terrorists are now giving their own terms as to how they would live. So let me just end with this point. Are we saying at the end of the day that the terrorists will be living among us, walking the streets without any harassment or any being brought to book simply because we did a quid pro quo, we did a peace deal? We might as well do quid pro quo and peace deals with every other person in jail. Thank you.
All right, thank you for sharing those thoughts. Well, let me take a message or two before we get back into the stories, and I'll come to you, Lakunle. Chibuza says, who is a minor in this instance? How old have we agreed on nationally, or is it still at the state's discretion? I think Devoe answered that question already. Michael Akuremi says, rape should equal life imprisonment. What about corruption, says? The usual slap on the wrist. How I wish the same enthusiasm will be applied to corruption at all levels. All right, Rex Insurulere says, the legal luminary has his heart in a good place, but the 1999 Constitution was designed to preserve power and access to a certain region. He wants that same region to vote themselves out of favor and take cuts to achieve a more egalitarian one. That's as intelligent as it's naive. We're going to live with this constitution and make the most of it in the short to medium term.
Sorry, what region is that?
Well, only Rexy can actually tell us that. Barrister Danukuda and Igodo says, it's now very clear that there are three sets of laws in this country. There is one for the North, one for the Southwest, and one for the Southeast. No nation can progress with this kind of double standard. All right, luckily, we have a new minister, apparently, and this is coming from the Daily Trust, where President Tinubu has appointed Dr. Bernard Mohamed Doro from Plateau State as a minister. Now, Bayo Ononuga, presidential spokesman, announced this in a statement on Tuesday, and he said that the appointment is subject to confirmation by the Senate. And this nomination follows Professor Yilwata's election as the APC's chairman in July. And he previously served as Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. So there's the assumption that that's the spot that is going to be filled. But luckily, just give us your thoughts on this particular one.
What an interesting combination of name, Bernard Mohammed. I mean, it's just a pointer to.
I know why I'm laughing.
It's just a pointer to what our history used to be compared to what it is now, right? That's one of the lights I've seen in these things, right? The Plateau is just been nominated from Plateau State to replace the Plateau State nominee in the ministerial list, or like the constitution suggests that every state must have representation in the state executive council, which ministers. So it's not a big deal. I see here by the CV that has been summarized that he's a pharmacist. He has degrees in MBA. Is an IT strategy, business strategy, and have a master's in clinical practice. I hope then that let's assume, for example, that he is a direct replacement for the SY minister who is now chairman of the APC. So I hope that he will bring all these experiences he's garnered all over the places into the ministry. That ministry is one of the most controversial ministry, even from inception, from the idea of its existence at all, right? I hope that he's coming now. He's 55, maybe probably let's say 56, yeah. He will bring in those experiences that he's garnered in private sector in Nigeria and elsewhere, in NHS, in all over the place. He will bring it and make many of us who think that ministry is a waste of time and resources to have a change of heart about the effectiveness of that ministry in dealing with humanitarian issues as it affects Nigerians. Then we hope then that, like they say, that our hopes will be renewed in his activity in running that ministry. We can only wish him all the best. And because if he succeeds, it means that Nigeria will succeed and us Nigerians will benefit from his success.
Okay, so thank you, Lakunle. So thank you. Very briefly, I have two points of concern. I'm concerned that they couldn't name any university he attended. Because given our recent experience with a former minister, I thought this would have been one of the simplest things to do. If you're able to list what he qualified in, then it should equally be easy to state the universities, because from the same certificate, you read the course and you read the name of the university. Now, too, we're told that he's lived abroad in the UK for a long time. Now, a long time is relative. However, by the combined provisions of Section 147, subsection 5, of the 1999 Constitution and Section 66, we need to conclude and determine very early whether he holds dual citizenship. Because 147.5 says you cannot be appointed a minister unless you're qualified to be a member of the House of Reps. Then Section 66 deals with the qualifications for being such a member, and it prohibits dual nationality. So this needs to be established and confirmed very quickly.
All right. Messages, let me take them. This is Tony Nikeja, who says, good morning, Aya and gentlemen. Olanipeku reminds one of the terrible elections of 2023. His recent call for the suspension of the Constitution review is understandable. He'll have another lucrative outing after the 2027 general elections. To create or review the Nigerian Constitution should never be done under a dubious government. Are you saying the government is dubious, Tony? Is that what you mean? Is that what you're alluding to? Ajayi Oloniloa in Magodo Sherry says, good morning, Ayokunmi, and all the fine gentlemen in the house. Good morning to you, sir. As far as the Constitution is concerned, we need a new one that will match each community. That will make each community the first tier of government with full complements of the machinery of governance for its day-to-day administration, followed by the local, state, and federal governments. This will remove the administrative vacuum currently being exploited by terrorists across the nooks and crannies of the country. All right, thank you for your thoughts. Tony Marine Beach says, the Nigerian Constitution is reminiscent of an old dilapidated building that's constantly being refurbished with the best of paints used on it. It does not negate the fact that the building is structurally defective and may succumb to test of time at any moment. I heard all the senators shouting aye on the proposed defilement law, and particularly persons even proposing life jail instead of 20 years. I hope it doesn't end up a law for the South alone. This and several other ways is how the present Constitution has suffered damages. We need a new one that has teeth in quotes here.
Ayo, quickly before we go, while raising from what Mr. C said about the new nominee, I tried to find out from the internet, even go as far as some AI mode channels to see and see. All I see is that he has a bachelor in pharmacy, has a bachelor in law, has a master's in MBA, has a master of science in advanced clinical practice. But there is nothing here that's mentioned any of the schools that he got any of these degrees from. So I think that we should if Mr. Bayo Ononuga, the spokesperson who released this, should read that part of his CV to us, like, so that we can have concerns. I mean, it's probably very valid.
Very interesting that information isn't readily available. Just wonder. Shimodea says, good morning, Ayo, Lakunle, and Devoe. Concerning rape as usual, wonderful insights by our analysts. May I add that for false accusations, this should be an enabler to develop a DNA database to identify actual offenders in addition to the methods we currently have. It will take years, but let's start. I mean, take that first step and keep it moving. Fabian Inekwe says, good morning, sirs. My concern regarding rape is that there is a lot of focus on prosecuting the person who committed rape, but enough isn't done to take care of the rape victim. I hope the Senate will also look into the revision of the law related to smoking and using illegal and banned drugs. Okay, this is Leko in Lagos, who says, good morning, crew. When the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse or misuse is inevitable. Congratulations. I took this message on Monday. Yeah, I took this message on Monday.
Maybe he sent it sometime.
Tajideen from Alimosho says, good morning, all. Concerning the nominated minister, basketball won't start to leak again. Charlie is enough fella there. Tayo Inaja says, congrats to the new minister, but who will replace the other minister who resigned due to the allegations of certificate forgery? Well, your guess is as good as mine on that one.
Consultations are ongoing in our states. We will let you know when we arrive at one.
Okay, this one comes from Habib on YouTube, and it says, interesting one there by Mr. C. Isn't Bosun Tijani, the communications and digital economy minister, also a British citizen as well? I just did a quick Google check, and yes, he is a Nigerian British citizen.
Oh, this is news to me.
That I didn't know as well.
And he's not a citizen, he's resident. He was resident there, but
luckily, don't do that, please. The law is very clear. You cannot hold dual citizenship. You have to drop one. So
Yes,
if this is correct, he should not be a
saying,
minister.
I'm saying he is not a citizen of the United Kingdom. He is a resident.
Okay. So
Get what
okay.
I mean? At least
So we
that's
have two different perspectives now. You say he's a resident. He says he's a citizen. Okay.
Well, I'll definitely be checking that on myself, because this is
there's
also
no
the first time I'm
I've
hearing
seen
this.
They've claimed him to be a citizen of the place.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen, we need to go. We really need to wrap it up, and we've eaten into into the time. Thank you all very, very much for all the messages. And Habib, thank you for that particular one. I'll be checking it out for myself. I mean, we learn every day. And thank you to you, Mr. C, Lakunle, and Devoe for making it a very interesting morning. You are very much appreciated, Lakunle.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. Thank you for the news for our newsmen for doing a good job of reporting the National Assembly, at least for this week. We hope that we'll see more of that. And then the ball is now in our court, the rest of us, to follow up on all of these things and ask the right questions of our representatives. We need to start asking the right questions of our representatives.
Very correct. Mr. C.
Thank you, Ayo. Thank you, Lakunle. Thank you, Devoe. And Nigeria, let's just do what we have to do. Take care.
Let's do what we have to do. Make it a hump of the week Wednesday to actually remember. Thank you for keeping it tuned and keeping it locked here on Smooth 98.1. Don't go anywhere. 8:15, the locker room will be live. It's all about great sporting action. Champions League football yesterday, some big results. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. Keep it tuned.